Gemara, we're up to the Dalid. We're talking about Ochan, and the Gemara said, despite everything, that Afa Pisha Chata Yisrael, he's still considered a Yid, and because that's a pasuk Chata Yisrael, the teaching of Yisrael. In Halacha, there's actually a big machlekes. It's one thing to say a very nice thing. Chata Yisrael is Itaka Yisrael. The Rambam is Seisir himself in a few places, because by Kedushin, the Rambam says that his Kedushin are Kedushin. And in other words, he's treated like a Yid at the end of the day. And then in Hilchos Avodah Zarah, the Rambam says he's Ka'akum l'chol davar. So they try to reconcile the two. Some want to say there's a difference between if he is a Meshumid, Avodah Zarah, l'te'oven, or l'hachit, whether he does it because he, whatever, or l'hachit in spite. But the Rambam doesn't make any attention, effect to that. There's a big machlekes. Then there's another machlekes, even if you hold a Kedushin, but maybe Yibum Chalitza doesn't apply, because there it says brothers, and he's definitely not a brother. And if you know your history, the big the machlekes, the Rogachover's son-in-law was a big Talmud Chacham, and he died young. And the son-in-law had two brothers. One was a communist, and one was a Meshumit. And they were in Germany. So the Rogachover, the communist in Russia, and another one in Germany. The Rogachover wanted that the Meshumit should give chalitza to his daughter, not the communist. Now, it must be more to the story. I don't know exactly what happened there. But the Rav in Berlin was Sidi Eish, the one who gave the Rebbe Smicha. And the Sidi Eish says, no, you can't. You're passing up your Yudoi going that you can't, a Meshumit can't give chalitza, because I just told you it has to be brother. And the Rogachover brings the Eish from the Yerushalmi that the Yudoi going is not right, and it has to be a they. Anyway, it was a big machlekes. And at the end, the Sidi Eish said to him, if you can find another Rav that's a paisik that agrees with you with halacha l'maisa, not just theory, we'll do it. I don't think it ever happened. I don't think that he ever found another paisik, or I don't know exactly what happened. But so there's a big machlekes and other things as well. If you let the money be to Yerusha, there's a Yashin. There's a Yashin, is he considered a Yid? So there's very in halacha, it's not so simple. We quote this. When it comes to minyan abriyonim, there we say we do count. Again, sometimes we say we don't. Yet in Hilchos Yom Kippur it says that one reason why you go that about Shuvah, especially a Meshumah that comes back, has to go to mikvah like mamish like a gatus again, like a reborn. I heard that Bob Dylan was with Manas Friedman by the Rebbe of Fabringen, and Bob Dylan wrote and Manas Friedman. This is when Bob Dylan was very popular. Wrote to the Rebbe that bring Bob Dylan here, Fabringen, and he was there. And when it was Fabringen was over, the next day or something, the Rebbe wrote, said, where was he? I didn't see him. Bob Dylan, if you remember, converted for a while to Christianity. So, okay, Yankel Rapp is a big chassid of his, so he'll tell you all about it. He actually went to visit Bob Dylan when he came to Australia. I think he put my film, whatever it was, but because his son was a shtickle Baal Tshuva, Bob Dylan's son, Chabad in California. Anyway, let's continue. We're up to the Gemara right in the page of Medal. We're still talking about Achad. And now, sorry? Oh, Rocha Protis. I don't think they have this part that I just told you in the movie. Amalei Reish Gelusa Rav Huna. The Reish Gelusa said to Rav Huna, Ksiv, it says in Pali Yerusha Achan, he took Achan ben Zerach, Vesakesef, the money that he took, Vesaderis, and the garment that he wore, Veslashon Azov, and the golden tongue, Vesbana, Vesbanaisav, his sons and his daughters, Veshoyes Chamoy, his cows and his donkeys, Vessoinde, Vesola, his sheep and his tent, Veskola Shaloi. It sounds like they were all burnt. Like Im Huchot, the Bonam Nois and Machot, what did they sin? Now, interesting Gemara's question, because we learned yesterday on top of the page that why did the eating get punished only Haniglas, only what we knew about, and the Gemara says that the children and the wife knew about his terrible ways, so therefore it's considered Haniglas. So yesterday we asked what's it to do with us, but apart from that, maybe they knew and they didn't stop him. That's why they're responsible. As Ibn Ezra writes, it says Lo Signo even Pasha Gedoshim. Why say Lo Sharabim? Because the Ganef and the person who's fencing for him are both equally considered Ganavim. So maybe that's why. Anyway, according to you, the next few words in the pasuk is Yeshua said also call Yisrael Imay. All the eating. It sounded like what? All the eating got burnt. Chas v'shalom. Not at all. He wanted them to be there to basically to tell them this is what happens, the consequences if you don't listen. is the same thing. Hachanam did Dyson. He wanted the wife, the kids, and that was just a witness. Says the Gemara, it says in Pasuk that by Yisrafu Oisam Ba'esh, he burnt them in the fire, and then it says by Yishkulu Oisam Avanim, and he stoned them. First of all, Betarti, two punishments, fire and stoning. Where do you find two punishments? Come up with Rabbin, we say. Amar Ravina Horoil Sefer, those items which could be burnt, and the Horoil is Skila, and the people were Skila, and the animal was Skila. Then it says the Pasuk Ve'eda Basholom, and Achan is Maida. What did I see? What did he take already? He said, I saw in the plunder, I saw Adera Shina, Achas Teva. So it's beautiful woolen garment. And Rashi says that sometimes they take a sheep as soon as it's born, cover it with some kind of a shmata, that no dirt should ever fall on the wool, and that wool is pristine and is considered very, very precious. And he saw one garment made from that wool. Messiah's going to the 200 silver coins, that's what I took. And I hid them in my tent. Rav Amar, what was so special about it? Itzla de Milsa, what I just told you. That was the Itzla de Milsa that they covered it, and it was so special. And Shmuel says that no, Sarbala de Tzife, it was colored with some kind of a color, dyed. And that makes it so special. Alum, so whatever color that is. Vayetzikum lifnei Hashem, and he tossed them before Hashem, he spread them out. Amar Anachem, he actually, Yeshua took it and threw it before the Eibishter as if with an anger, the force. Because what happened was they went to Ai, and I told you 36 Eden were killed, and the Sanhedrin is 70. So because of this one shirt, this one garment, and his money, you burned the most in Sanhedrin. The Chsiv says by Yaakov Mehem Anshe Ai Kishloishim V'Shishim, 36 people. But time we learned Shloishim V'Shishim Mamad. There were 36 people. The very Sanhedrin, and Amar Nechemia V'Chi Shloishim V'Shishim Hayu. You think it was 36? The pasuk says like 36 people. I mean like. I told you yesterday, Yoy ben Menashe sheshakol kineged Ruba Shadedin. Yoy ben Menashe who was equal to 36 people. Amar Nachman Rav. So Nachman name Rav. Might see what it says Tachanunim. So the Chayda Yeshua went and we continued. Nachman name Rav. In fact, you're right. Yeshua spoke to the Eibishter with force. Might see what it says Tachanunim midaber rosh. The rosh, the poor person, speaks softly. But the rich person, he's speaking chutzpah with arrogance, with hubris. That's Moshe Rabbeinu when he spoke, and he had to ask Ahmed Eden. He spoke over him, even though he's a Vimayim that's not soft. I mean, to take me out of the Sefer Torah. But generally speaking, he spoke with Lashon Hara. Yeshua. This was Yeshua, because when he threw the Achan's things for the Eibishter, because of this is what this is the punishment. My timer. So Gemara says, where do you see that Yeshua spoke with Azus? He threw in front of the Eibishter. He threw for the Eibishter. This is why you killed Yoy ben Menashe or 30 people. Pinchas had the same style of approaching the Eibishter. Where do you find that? By Zimri ben Solid, by Yamed Pinchas, by Yefalo. They were there when the 24,000 people from Shevet Shimon died, and he went and killed Zimri and Cosby. By Yifal and he davened. Doesn't say by Yispal. But to Otzim again, we gave a stop. What do you mean by Yifal? What kind of expression is by Yifal? Omer blows by Yispal and everything. He davened. Ela by Yifal. By Yifal means that he demanded justice. Milamich also political. He had a debate, an argument with Eibishter. Remember, he had them both on this knife. He threw both bodies in front of the Eibishter because of these people. Because of what these two sinned. 24,000 people from Shimon Shaddai. So what did Yeshua do wrong? He already has a precedent, and Pinchas wasn't punished for that. Yeah, but not for this particular thing. I'll tell you what Yeshua did. It says in the pasuk. Yeshua said to Eibishter, why did you bring us to Yarden and we're going to be defeated by a mighty? No, Moshe also said, right in the end of the Parashat Moshe, why did you harm the Eden? We don't find that Moshe got punished for that. These words that Moshe never said. The Luha Alno Halavai should have been Vanesha Bebe Yarden. Halavai never entered Israel. It remained in the neighbor of Yarden. Moshe never said Halavai stayed in the Mitzrayim. He never said that. Now, as if to say that Abraham made a mistake in bringing us here, or the Rashi goes further. Not that he made a mistake bringing us here. We shouldn't have listened to you. Rashi says here, Toiv lanu shaloi lekayim mitzvascha. You know, Rashi, I mean, Rashi, that's a step further than what I just said. Rashi is saying that Yeshua said it would be better if we didn't listen to your instructions and we would not have entered Eretz Yisrael. You told us to go to the Yad and we shouldn't have listened to you. So that's why we say Yosher Yana Azuz. Interesting that Yeshua is called an Osher and Moshe is called a Rosh. When Moshe is Chama and this is Bnei Levon, and yet the description. Yeshua. Hashem said Yeshua, Kum Loch. Hashem said Yeshua, Kum Loch, stand up. It's all from you. This whole problem you're having kindness to me. It's your fault. What did Yeshua do wrong? You are worse than them. You made it more difficult for the Eden than I did. What do you mean? And I said, I told them because the Yad take the stones and write down the Torah. And you made them go Hagrizim Hareva, which is 60 kilometers away, 60 mil away. You made them walk 60 kilometers away. Hagrizim Hareva was 60 kilometers. Remember, we had the whole motor and Saita. Machlik exactly where it is. It's right by the Yadin. Now, it's very interesting because, as Pesach asks, the Abishah told him to go to Hagrizim Hareva. It's his fault that Hagrizim was 60 kilometers away. What did Yeshua do wrong? So Pesach says that there's actually two Hagrizims in Hareva. There's one right next to the Yarden and one 60 kilometers away. And Yeshua took them to the further one. So that's his fault. But exactly. You ever go online to book a flight? They say Melbourne. There's a Melbourne, Miami, Florida. If you don't look carefully, the Basa, the Norfolk. After Rab Shela walked out, Rav decided to dash. In front of Shela, he didn't want to argue. He waited till he left. We find in other Gemara that Rab Shela was once giving a drosha and he didn't have an Amoida. Rav stood up and became his Amoida, which means that Rav considered himself like a Talmud before Rab Shela, or at least the bottle to Rab Shela. So he waited for Rab Shela to leave and he argued and says, no. And he dashed and Kasha Tziva said, Moshe, Avda, King Tziva Moshe Yeshua. Said the pasuk clearly that whatever Hashem told Moshe told Yeshua. Yeshua never deviated from what the Abishah told Moshe. So therefore, if Yeshua went to Hagriz and 60 kilometers away, that's exactly what the Abishah told him to do. So why the Abishah saying it's your fault? It's your fault. You caused it. Because Yeshua is the one who made up the law, don't take the plunder. The Abishah never told Yeshua, tell Eden not to take from the plunder. You did it, and then Achel took from it. And now you have this whole tzara. You created this problem. Right? Because the Yerushalmi says that three things Moshe Rabbeinu did. We have time. So the thing Moshe Rabbeinu did and the Abishah agreed. We also find by Yeshua the same lashon in Yerushalmi. And one of the things are about this beast. The Abishah agreed with him. Our Gemara doesn't say that, so maybe that's the machlekes of Rav and Shela, whether the Abish agreed with him on this thing is, so then he can't have tiniest Yeshua, or whether the Abish did not agree with him, and as it says right here, Rav saying that no, should never have done it. So sometimes you make too many chumras in the community, and you're putting a michshel in front of them, right? He looked at his eye and he saw. And we had this whole Gemara in Megillah and Erevin. He saw this malach standing there with a sword, or something standing with a sword there. He said, "What are you here for?" And he said, "No, I just came right now." How can you bow down at night to this person? We know it's at night because they weren't fighting in the war. They came back. I'll give Chav at night. We're worried that maybe it's a shed. Now remember, the Rambam and the Midi don't believe in Shadim. So every time the Midi, it's beautiful to read the Midi. Every time the Gemara talks about a shed, what do you learn? So here he says is, maybe it's a person who believes in Shadim. Or he shechts kabbanas to Shadim. So he's like a mummer. That's what it means. But it's Baba Mises. Shiny Hassam, every time the Gemara has this, you're going to meet, because the Rambam, he follows the Rambam. And anyway, Shani Gamale and Shani Hadir is different. The Gamale said to him, Ani Satzva Hashem Atabase. I'm the Satzva Hashem. Think about Vadim Mashakid. What does that prove? Maybe he's lying. He's immediately even the bad shadim don't say the Abish's name of Torah. Very interesting to show you how halacha works. There's a big machlek in Shulchan and Hills Gittin. If you can give a get at night, if you're allowed to give a get at night. The Ramal says we don't give a get at night. In fact, he brings a day that you even by the evidence you're not yet to. So on, so on, so forth, and all that, and all that. The Radvaz argues, and he says, "You say you can give at night. What does it have to do?" The Shasha says he doesn't understand. What does it have to do with it? What's the sword about night? Because it's like it didn't tell you. What does that get to have to do with it? In fact, if you remember, we had a machlek in Yehuda. If you even need 3 people to eat a bezin, Taisha says right here, just one word in Taisha, just how it works. Taisha asks the question, so Taisha says, this is only out in the fields and the mountains, where shadim hang around, but not in the city. And I'll prove it to you. Because it says in what I will be eating. I just quote you Taisha. I will be in the city, I feel it balayla. Even at night, even in the city, even if you don't recognize a person, we don't for a minute consider it's a shindal. Why? Because if you are, then hey, how can you shalom aleichem to your friend at night? I know who it is. Number one, maybe it's a shed. Number two, the hey isha mizgareshes balai. Klar, that you can divorce a woman at night. So the Acharein, if I remember correctly, you want to say that Pshat is how can you give instructions to a person to give a get to your wife at night, which is very difficult to understand because the person says mizgareshes balai. Let's say. Whatever to say to somebody to God. And why would you say a total friend? You have no idea who he is. You meet a guy that says, "Oh, do me a favor, give me a divorce to my wife." I mean, anyway, interesting how a zaitik is actually altogether. It's like a side issue, and this is the basis for the Radbaz. Say nothing wrong with giving it back. Anyway, at least takes the whole that. Saying more further. So the Malach said to him two things. Amalei said to him, if you have a chance, look in Taisha the Megillah of Gimel on the very bottom of the page. Halana, why you're here? Very nice shot on this whole Gemara. Amalei said to him, yesterday you cancelled. There's a beautiful Rashi, beautiful story. You should learn later. Long Rashi, a beautiful story in the summit that we learn. Amalei said to him, yesterday you didn't bring a carbon tummy because you're fighting a war, but you didn't bring a carbon tummy. And Koros because the Aaron was with them, so they weren't able to bring a carbon tummy. There was no Aaron in the Mishkan. And the Ba'achsha b'taltem Talmud. Now you instead of staying there where you were and learning, you went home. Oh, sorry, the other way around. You stayed with the war and you didn't go home to learn Torah. So he said to him, "Aleidim and Boss." So which one are you punishing me for? Why here? In Megillah, we did. We had in two places. Amalei Ata Bossi. I came now. No, I'm coming for Talmud Torah. The Yad Vayolim Yeshua B'Layla Hu B'Toicha Emek. Yeshua went and lied there B'Toicha Emek in the depth. Only Toicha Emek. He started to learn. If you remember, Rabbi Kiva Eger and Gilin the Shas and Megillah says there's no such pasuk. It doesn't say anywhere about Yolon Yeshua. If you look, in fact, on the side here where it brings the whole pasuk, it says there, Vayelech Yeshua B'Layla Hu B'Toicha Emek. No, those parts are Yolam. And it collects a whole bunch of psukim that the Gemara quotes that we don't have, what's pshat. It says Vayelech Yeshua B'Layla Hu B'Toicha Emek. In the middle of the pasuk. No, but that's not. No, read the pasuk. Read what you just quoted. Read Vayolan. Vayolan Yeshua B'Layla Hu B'Toicha Emek. That's not the B'Toicha Emek. No such pasuk. And we're learning from Ayolon and we're learning from Amek, the two. There's no such pasuk. Rashmu Bar Unya said the name of Rav that Talmud Torah is even more important than Kabbanis. Shenemar at the basi. I came here for you not learning Torah. Avdimi was a Talmud in Yisrael, but then when the Talmud Shalmi finished and all kinds of tzadas happened, a lot of so Rabdimi, when we had a few people, Ravin, a few people, Talmidim came from, for Rabbi Yechanan, must have been very old, came to Babel. So they've always asked them, and they always bring new svardas and everything else. So Abai said to Rabdimi, this pasuk in Yisrael, how do you learn this pasuk? I'll take to Ladiv. He says, I'll take to Ladiv, Maher. Don't go and have a fight straight away. What are you going to do at the end? When you're going to embarrass, you're going to embarrass your friend. What's it talking about here? And then it says, you should only argue with a friend, but and do not reveal any other secrets. What's the pasuk talking about? So when Hashem said Yecheskel, go ahead and tell the Eden. Hashem told Yecheskel, tell the Eden and tell them that the ancestors not just big yichus. Who do you think you are? Your father was a mighty, your mother was chitis. So Tuman Avram and Soda, and unfortunately, hard time understanding where does Soda come from? Soda comes from Shem, not from Canaan. Sorry. From okay, yeah. What does that mean? But definitely not from Chiti. They come from Shem. Anyway, Amra. So he said, Amra Ruach Paskon is the Malach Paskon. He said, who's this Malach Paskon? It's Gabriel. It's all about Mal Gabriel. Lifnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu Rebbeinu Shalom. Im Yavoi Avram B'Sara. Mal Gabriel stood up to defend the Yidden. If Avram B'Sara would have come in front of you, would you have embarrassed him the way you just did? Called him a Maidi and called him a okay, Maidi come from Terach, but Sarah you call her Chitis and all that. That you argue with your friend. If you want to reprimand the Eden, fine, reprimand the Eden. But why talk about Avraham and Sarah? Why bring them into the equation and then embarrass them? And when me say, when I said, "Me school, how can Gabriel talk to such, fierceness, so stridently to the Eibishter?" Yes, yes, the Gabriel has three names. What are they? Piskoin, Itmoin, and Sigroin. Why does he have these three names? Piskoin, he stands up and defends the Eden, and he's sometimes very strident. Itmoin, so he tries to cover over the Avedas that the Eden do. And Sigroin, Kivan Shasege, once he runs out of any kind word to say on behalf of the Eden, and he can't ask any more Rachmim, then Shuvein Pasech, no other Malachim come along and stand forward. He comes along the Vilna Gon here on the side, and Rashi Paskon is Gabriel, and he says, Ain't okay. And he brings no bunker. He argues with Rashi, it's definitely not Gabriel, it brings no bunker. L'chayre b'pashtus, Gabriel was Gevura, Michal, V'sar Shamayim was Rachmim Chesed. If anything, it's Michal who would be advocating. And even if Gabriel finishes, Michal would take over. What do you mean? Kimish Soga, that's it, it's over. But Chassidus explains that in Gvura itself, you can be Gvura Sheva Chesed. That Gabriel can have more Chesed than Michal because whatever it is Gvura, of Gvura. And therefore, Gabriel can be the strongest advocate. But interesting, the Vilna should just say, Einu Kain, without bringing any basis at all why he's arguing with Rashi. Unless it's a Zohar or something, but even that, I need to bring it down. Okay, anyway. So anyway, right, it says in Pasuk that the friends told Eev, "Ha'ara shuach that you prepare your davening loy b'tzar before you had your tzaras." What's going on here? You should always daven before you have a tzaras. If Avram would not have been makdim tefillah l'tzara, that if Avram would not have davened first, bein beis el bein ha'ai, if he wouldn't have davened in that area on behalf of the Eden, and the mice of Achan would have caused a calamity that l'nishtaydim esanei Yisrael sorry the polit, everybody would have died. Can you imagine? Achan. Why? Because at that moment, as we learned yesterday, the Eden found out what it means. Kol Yisrael Ravens They were all responsible for each other, and that was the first test of that law. Everybody, there would nothing be left over from Bnei Yisrael. Reish Lakish Omar, and interesting, it was Yeshua who imposed that halacha that you're not allowed to do that. It's not even in Torah; it's just the rabbi's koyach. Reish Lakish Omar. And that's what we learn now that if Yishchenu Nochash, if you're losing the Rabbanim, it's even worse than losing the Torah and a snake should bite you, like eating fleishiks, the 9 days and all that. They're right here. But that's something else. But here, Yishchenu Nochash, we say that if you don't listen to Chachamim, you should get bitten. And where do you get such strong words from the story of Yeshua? It was his Gzeida, and if it wouldn't have been for Avram davening, every Eid, Chaz Rahman Salam, would have passed away for one person's Aveda. It's incredible. Reish Lakish he dashes the pasuk. If you daven strongly down here, that's what it means. If you daven hayara shuach, if you daven properly, is loy b'tzad. Ain't loy tzad normally. You'll have no malachim. They're trying to stop you from davening. Rabbi Yechon says, "La'olam yavakish adam rachma." A person should daven, should ask rachmim. She hakam out to the koichi. Should have everyone should help him out in davening. While you loy tzad normally, you should have tzad normally. The Rashi here is very controversial. Rashi here, I'll just quote what Rashi says here. La'elam yavakish adam, right parallel to the Gemara on the right side. That you should daven to the Eibishter she hakel ma'amtzim es koichi. Says Rashi, she yisayu malache hashodes lavakish rachmim. You're asking the malachim daven with you. As you know, machnise rachmim is very controversial. The minor loshim, you're not allowed to daven malachi. You have to daven to the Eibishter. What's Rashi talking about here? She yisayu malache lavakish rachmim. Big controversy about this Rashi. Anyway, how you know that the Vida helped? How you know it helped? By Yochanan. Who said it helped? Tell them what we learned. You ruined this whole day. This day. I mean, this day. You ruined this day. You didn't ruin the world to come. It says in Pasuk, Zerach had 5 children, and they're all tzaddikim, except one. Zimri, Eson, Haman, Rechalko, Vedadeya. Doesn't mention Achan, but Achan was one of his 5 children. It says Achan bezerach. Kulam Chamisha, all 5, they were all tzaddikim. So l'chayda, when we all tzaddikim, so the Gemara, My kul chamisha and haba. They all go haba. Ksiv zimri, ksiv achad. Sometimes he's called zimri, sometimes called achad. Rambam Shmuel. Chad amar achad. We have this a number of times. The real name was achad. Zimri also mice zimri. He behaved like zimri. Remember, we had an opinion that he with an iron marasa, so he behaved like zimri. The chad amar no zimri shmai. That he made like a wheel, the Avedas of the Eden, that everyone got in trouble because of him. Im Eina Yedelus Vadas, then if you don't know how to mivada, we learned the Mishnah, then at the end it says, and if you're innocent, say that you're innocent, and this should be a kapara for all my other Vedas. So he says, what's wrong? What's wrong if he says, okay, he says, look, I'm innocent, and this should only take care of for all my other Vedas. The reason is because when people walk away thinking, wow, usually the last words that come out of your mouth is the truth. That means the business is corrupt. We don't want that to happen. The witnesses. The person was going out to be killed. If I committed this sin, that I don't want that my misa should be about any of my sins. In other words, I'm really innocent. But if I'm innocent, let this be my kapara for all my sins. The bezin is innocent. I don't want them to have any. I'm not blaming the bezin. I'm not casting any aspersions. They just did what was right. But the edim should never be not in this world, not in the world to come. They said, what should we do? Catch 22. To reverse this sentence, even though the guy sounds innocent. It's too late. We'll kill him, and if he's innocent, then the Edim have to carry the burden. So you want to pshita? What's the chiddush? Kol kamine. Because he said those words, therefore we believe him. Like the Edim themselves came forward and said, hey, we lied. If you remember, we learned before, the agents sometimes have a guilt. They feel guilty not because they lie. They feel guilty that they're killing a person. They're normal civilians. They don't like killing people, and they can't sleep at night. They'll have nightmares. So even though they know the guy is guilty, they don't want to be involved in his death. That's why it says the Pasuk Yad they're the ones who. That's why they changed their mind. Therefore, the first aid is said, the first aid is said, and that's it. You can't change your mind. So Gemara says, what's the chiddush? So who killed the Edom change their mind? What's the chiddush? Of course you have to kill him. They tell us why they said that in the first place, and we understand where they're coming from, why they lied. Said the story with the tax collector. So Rashi brings a beautiful story. Taisa brings it elsewhere a little bit different, but Rashi brings this. There's a tzaddik who passed away, and a Rasha passed away, both on the same day. And both Levi's take place at the same time. The Levi of the Tzaddik is a big population and the big attendance, and the Levi of the Russia maybe barely a minyan at all. Suddenly, some robbers and morders came in. Everybody fled. One Talmud of this Tzaddik stayed behind to watch the cave, and he was Mason Nefesh. When everybody came back, for some reason or another, everybody gravitated to the Rosh's coffin as if that's the Tzaddik. And the Tzaddik's coffin became the Rosh. So the kids of the Rosh, whoever was there, walked with the Tzaddik and his Talmud, and he's screaming and yelling, and nobody listens. Nobody believes him. And it bothered him to no end. So that means I followed this Tzaddik. It turned out to be he wasn't God a Tzaddik. He looked kind of Levi. So that night, the Tzaddik came over to him in his dream. He says, no, don't worry about it. I am in Gan Eden. He took him in his dream to Gan Eden. He said, the reason why that happened to me is because I once heard somebody insulting a Talmud Chacham, and I didn't stand up. I wasn't Meicha. This Rasha is a Rasha. And his punishment against him is, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but the door they close on his ear all the time. I'm not sure what Aveda did, that's his punishment. But because he once, he made a party for the Sara ear, it didn't work out. What did he do with all the food? He gave it to the Armalite, to the poor people. So therefore he did one good thing, so they decided to reward him. But then this tzaddik says to this Talmud, and that Russia, they're going to stop doing the door once Rabbi Yochanan passes away. Once Shimon Shachar passed away, he'll take his Russia's place. So he woke up, he ran to Shimon Shachar, and the reason is there's a whole bunch of witches in his neighborhood, and the Teres of Machshevel is a Chaya, and he's laying wood. He went to Shimon Shachar. So Shimon Shachar right away. There are 80 machashefas there, and we'll learn later in the Gemara that some machashefas they get their strength from the dirt on the ground. So he called in 80 of his talmidim, and he said to them, take raincoats and put them inside this pot, cover it. It was pouring and raining outside. Everybody's drenched. He goes to the house of the machashefas and says, I want to challenge you to a duel. Who could do better witchcraft? And they said to him, they were inside the house and the door was closed. They said to him, and what how you gonna prove that you're that you're a warlock or whatever? He says it's pouring outside. You can see or hear. We're all dry. So they right away they were under the roof. They all changed and put on this dry clothes. Door opened up and they all came inside. Each one right away seized one of the machshefes, lifted them from the ground, brought them to the bezin, didn't put them down on the ground, and they were all killed. Cousins of the machshefe decided to defend their honor and take revenge, so they made up a story that Shimon Shatach was Mechal Shabbos, did some Aveda that deserves to be killed. The Shimon Shatach, the bezin, Paskin to be killed. Then these agents felt guilty, felt that he was innocent. And they said to him, the truth is, and they told him the story. And they said, this is why we did it. So he gave them a good reason why they did it. And Shimon says, Kima Shehigid, Shu Einu Chazer Magid. And he kills no son. That's why in Piggy Others it says, hey, Marbe Lachker agent. If you know that they're lying, you just continue in cross-examining them until eventually they stumble. So you find the fault. Sad story. That's what happened.
So where did you have your Rashi?
The long Rashi on the left side.